The night was silent except for the sound of heavy rain hitting the windows. The house stood at the edge of a quiet street, its lights glowing faintly in the storm. Inside, the family sat together, trying to ignore the thunder outside. The father was reading, the son watched the rain, and the mother prepared tea to keep them warm. It was an ordinary evening, but something strange was about to happen. The clock struck midnight, and suddenly there came a knock at the door. It was not loud but soft, almost weak, as if someone was too tired to knock harder. The sound froze everyone in the room. At such an hour, who could be at the door? The father frowned and stood slowly. The son followed, curious yet uneasy. The mother stopped moving, the kettle still in her hands, her face pale with worry. The knock came again. 3 gentle taps. Tap, tap, tap. This time it sounded desperate. The father whispered, "Who would come here now?" No one answered. The storm outside roared, but the knock seemed louder than the thunder in their ears. With careful steps, the father walked to the door. The son stayed close, his eyes wide. The father hesitated, his hand on the lock. He turned his head slightly as if to ask, "Should I open it?" But before anyone could answer, the knock came a third time, shakier than before. It almost sounded like the hand knocking was trembling. The father unlocked the door and slowly pulled it open. The cold night air rushed in, carrying drops of rain and the smell of wet earth. At first, nothing could be seen in the darkness. Then, from the shadow of the porch, a small figure stepped forward. It was a little girl, but not a human girl. Her skin had a pale silver glow. Her eyes were larger than any child's eyes should be, and they shone like dim stars. She wore a torn robe that was soaked from the rain, and her small hands shook as she held them close to her chest. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Please, help me." The father stepped back in shock, the son gasped, and the mother dropped the kettle, letting it crash to the floor. The boiling water spread across the tiles, but no one cared. Their eyes were locked on the child standing in the doorway. The girl looked up at them, tears mixing with the rain on her face. She was crying softly, yet her voice carried a strange strength when she spoke again. "Please, your mom—" "She is in danger tonight." The words pierced the silence. The son turned quickly to his mother. She was staring at the little alien girl, her hands trembling as she held onto the table for balance. "What do you mean?" the father demanded, though his voice shook. "Who are you?" The girl stepped inside without waiting for an answer. Her bare feet left wet prints on the floor. She looked directly at the mother and whispered, "I came to save her." The room grew colder. The storm outside seemed distant now, as if the entire world had narrowed down to this moment. The family felt the weight of her words pressing on them. How could this strange child know their mother? How could she know about danger that even they did not see? The mother tried to speak, but her voice broke. Why me?" she asked softly. The alien girl's eyes shimmered. "Because they are coming. If I had not knocked, you would lose her before the night ends." Her voice was small, yet filled with certainty. The father's face darkened with doubt. "This is madness. Who are they? What danger?" He raised his voice, trying to control the fear rising inside him. But deep down, something about the girl's words felt true. The son noticed the girl's hands. She was holding something, a small object glowing faintly hidden in her palm. The light pulsed like a heartbeat. Before he could ask, the girl swayed on her feet, her strength fading. She whispered one last sentence before collapsing on the floor. "Protect her." Before it's too late, the boy rushed forward to catch her. She was lighter than expected, almost weightless, as if she carried more air than flesh. He looked at her fragile body, then at the glowing object in her hand. It was not like anything from Earth. The father locked the door quickly, his mind racing. The storm outside had grown louder again, but in the boy's heart, the real storm was inside the house now. Who was this alien child? How did she know their mother's name? And what danger was waiting for them before the night ended? The mother sat down slowly, her breathing heavy, her face pale. Her eyes were fixed on the girl lying on the floor, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dark room. The house, once safe and quiet, now felt like a place under watch, as if unseen eyes were already looking through the walls. The family stood in silence, the storm raging outside. Then the boy noticed something through the window. A shadow moved across the street. Not human, not normal. And at that moment he realized the little girl was right. The danger had already arrived. The little alien girl lay on the floor, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Her chest rose and fell weakly as if every breath was a struggle. The boy knelt beside her, afraid she might stop breathing. He touched her shoulder gently. Her skin was cold, colder than ice. The father hurried to the window, pulling the curtains closed. "Something is out there," he said in a low voice. His eyes darted back and forth, searching the shadows outside. I saw it move. "We're not alone." The mother sat trembling in her chair, her hand pressed against her chest. Her heart felt strange, as though it were beating out of rhythm. She whispered. She said I was in danger. Her words shook as fear gripped her. The boy looked at the strange object still clutched in the alien girl's small hand. It pulsed with light like a living thing. He tried to take it, but the girl's fingers were locked tightly around it, even in her weakness. Suddenly her eyes opened. Her gaze was wide and glowing, filled with urgency. She spoke in a voice that was barely a whisper, but sharp enough to cut through the silence. "You must listen. There is no time." The boy leaned closer. "Who are you?" "What do you mean?" The girl struggled to sit up. Her wet robe clung to her thin frame and her hair stuck to her cheeks. She looked straight at the mother. "They are watching you. They want you gone. Tonight is the night they strike." The father's face turned pale. "Who is they? Stop speaking in riddles. Tell us what you mean." The girl closed her eyes briefly, as though gathering her strength. When she opened them again, tears rolled down her silver cheeks. "Hunters," she said simply. "They come in the dark. They take those who are marked." "Your mother has been marked?" The mother gasped and clutched her chest harder. Her breathing quickened. "Why me?" she asked in a broken voice. The little alien girl's voice softened. "Because you saved someone once. You did not know it, but the ones you helped, they were not human. The hunters want revenge. They hunt anyone who touched our kind. They want to erase mercy." The father shook his head violently. "No, this is madness. This is a child telling stories." But even as he spoke, his hands trembled and sweat formed on his brow. He knew deep inside that something was wrong, something unnatural. The boy stared at the girl's glowing device. "Can you show us? Can you prove it?" he asked. The alien girl lifted her hand with great effort. The device brightened and projected a beam of light into the room. The light twisted and formed into an image like a floating screen in the air. They saw the mother lying on the kitchen floor, her face pale, her body lifeless. Around her stood tall, dark shapes with long arms and glowing eyes. Their voices were whispers, but the whispers shook the whole room. Then the vision ended. The family sat frozen, unable to breathe. The mother covered her mouth with her hands, her eyes wide with terror. "That was me," she whispered. The alien girl nodded slowly. "That is the future unless you listen." The father stumbled back, his voice breaking. "What do you want from us?" "Why did you come here?" Her eyes filled with sorrow. "I escaped them. I ran through the storm. I came because I heard your mother's name. I felt her thread of life weakening. If I had stayed silent, she would already be gone." The boy asked quickly, "How do we stop them? How do we save her?" The girl looked down, ashamed. "I am small, weak. They hurt me so I could not heal. But if I can regain my strength, I can protect her. Only for one night. After that, the hunters will come again." The mother leaned forward, her voice trembling. "Protect me? How?" The alien girl raised her hand and pressed her palm against the mother's chest. A faint light spread from her fingers. The mother gasped as warmth filled her body, easing the pain in her chest. But just as quickly, the girl collapsed again, drained of power. The father rushed forward. "You'll kill yourself!" The girl shook her head weakly. "No, I must give her time. But we must hide. They will come soon." The boy turned to the window. A shadow slipped past again. Tall, silent, moving unnaturally fast. His heart pounded. "She's right," he whispered. "They're already here." The father closed every lock on the doors, but he knew it wouldn't hold. The girl's warning echoed in his mind. The storm outside grew wilder, lightning flashing across the sky. Each flash revealed shapes moving closer in the rain, dark figures circling the house. The alien girl clutched her glowing device tightly and whispered one last warning. "Do not open the door again. If you do, it will be the end." The family stared at each other, fear tightening their throats. Outside, the whispers grew louder. The hunters were here, and the night had only just begun. The storm raged outside, but inside the house it was even darker. The family stood in silence, every ear straining to catch the whispers that floated through the night. The little alien girl sat weakly against the wall, her glowing device pulsing in her hand like a beating heart. The boy stared at it, unable to look away. "What is that thing?" he asked, his voice trembling. The girl lifted her head, her voice soft but steady. "It is a memory and a warning." The father crossed his arms tightly, anger and fear mixing on his face. "I don't want riddles. If you know something, show us now," the girl nodded weakly. She pressed her small fingers against the device. The glow brightened, filling the room with silver light. Slowly, the light twisted, forming a floating image in the air. The family gasped. It was their own kitchen, this very kitchen. The mother lay on the floor, her eyes closed, her face pale and still. Around her stood tall, faceless figures cloaked in shadows. Their long arms reached for her, and their voices hissed in a language that sounded like snakes in the dark. The boy shivered. He could almost feel the cold touch of those shadows. The mother covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. That was me," she whispered. The girl spoke again, her voice breaking. "This is what will happen if we do nothing. Tonight your mother's life will end." The father stepped forward quickly, his face pale. "Is this real? Or is it some trick to scare us?" The girl turned her glowing eyes toward him. "It is real. I have seen the hunters take many lives. They are closer than you think." Look, the image shifted. Now it showed the outside of their house. The storm howled, rain striking the roof. But in the trees and shadows, the figures stood waiting, tall, silent, patient. Their glowing eyes stared at the house, unblinking. The boy's heart pounded so hard he thought the hunters might hear it. He whispered, "They're already here." The father clenched his fists. He wanted to deny it, but deep inside he felt the truth pressing on him like a heavy weight. He could feel the house being watched, every corner of it marked. The girl closed her eyes, the device dimming. She sagged against the wall, exhausted. "That is why I came," she said faintly. "If I had not knocked, you would not know until it was too late." The mother sank into a chair, her body weak, her breath uneven. "Why me? Why do they want me?" she whispered. The girl's eyes filled with sorrow. "Because you were kind. Years ago you saved someone. You thought they were human, but they were not. That act of kindness marked you. The hunters see mercy as betrayal. They destroy anyone who touches our kind." The mother's hands trembled. She remembered. Long ago, on a cold evening, she had helped a lost traveler who had collapsed on the roadside. She had brought him inside, given him food and warmth. He had left before dawn without a word. She had thought he was just a stranger in need. But now, hearing the alien girl's words, she realized the truth. The father slammed his fist against the table. "So we suffer because she once showed kindness? This is insane." The girl looked at him sadly. "That is how they work. They want to erase kindness. If humans learn fear, they will stop helping others. That is the hunter's goal." The boy spoke quickly, his voice sharp with fear. "Then how do we stop them? How do we keep Mom safe?" The girl lifted the device again. "This holds the answer. But I am too weak to use it fully. I can only show you shadows of what is to come." She pressed it again, and another image appeared, this time of the family hiding in the basement. The hunters prowled upstairs, breaking doors and windows, searching. In the vision, the family stayed silent, holding their breath as the shadows moved above. The image faded before the ending could be seen. The father frowned. "Is that a warning? Or a plan?" The girl whispered. "Both. You must hide. But hiding may not be enough. They will not stop. They never stop." The boy shuddered. He looked at the window. A flash of lightning lit the street outside, and for one terrible second he saw them. Shapes, tall and twisted, standing still in the rain. Watching. Waiting. He stumbled back. His breath caught in his throat. "They're here," he whispered. "They're right outside." The mother's hand clutched the edge of the table as her knees weakened. A sharp pain ran through her chest again. She gasped, falling to the floor. "Mom!" the boy cried, rushing to her side. The alien girl crawled forward, her hand glowing faintly as she touched the mother's chest. The pain eased, but only a little. Her power was too weak. The father's voice shook with fear and fury. "If you can't stop them, then what are we supposed to do?" The girl's eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "Survive the night. That is all. Protect her until the sun rises. If she lasts until morning, they cannot take her." The family froze. Morning felt like a lifetime away. The storm roared louder. The whispers outside grew stronger, and the shadows moved closer to the house. The girl looked at them one last time. "If you fail," The hunters will not only take her, they will take all of you. And then from outside the door came the first heavy pound. Boom! The hunters had arrived. The pounding at the door shook the house. Boom, boom. Each hit was slow, deliberate, like a giant's fist testing the strength of the wood. The family froze in terror. The storm outside howled, lightning flashing through the curtains, and in each flash, shadows stretched across the walls as if the night itself had hands. The boy's heart thumped wildly. He clung to his mother, who still lay weak on the floor. The alien girl crouched beside her, her glowing eyes staring at the door. "They have found us," she whispered. The father grabbed a chair and shoved it under the doorknob. His voice shook as he muttered, "It won't hold them, but maybe it will buy us time." Another heavy pound. The wood groaned. The boy whispered, "What do they want?" The alien girl's silver skin gleamed faintly in the dark. She lifted her face slowly, her voice cold with fear. "Me and her," she pointed at the mother. "If they take either of us, it will end here." The father's hands tightened into fists. "Then they will not have you," he said firmly, though his eyes betrayed the fear gnawing at him. The pounding stopped suddenly. Silence filled the house, heavier than the storm. The family held their breath. For a moment it seemed like the hunters had gone. Then came the sound of footsteps. Slow, wet, sliding across the porch. The boy peeked through a crack in the curtains. His blood turned to ice. Tall figures moved in the rain, their bodies too thin, their arms too long. Their heads bent low as though sniffing the air. Their eyes glowed faintly, pale, endless, without pupils. The sight made his stomach twist. He gasped and stumbled back. "They're out there. There are 3 of them." The alien girl pressed a hand to her glowing device. "They never hunt alone. More will come." The mother tried to rise, but her legs shook and she collapsed again into the chair. She clutched her chest, tears of pain forming in her eyes. The alien girl leaned close, whispering, "Stay still. If they sense your weakness, they will come faster." Suddenly, glass shattered from the back of the house. The family spun around. One of the hunters was already crawling through the kitchen window, its long fingers curling against the frame. The father grabbed a lamp from the table and hurled it. The lamp crashed against the wall, sparks flying, flames flaring for a moment before dying. The hunter hissed, its voice like rusted metal scraping. The alien girl cried out, "Don't let it touch the floor." Once inside, the shadows spread. The boy rushed forward and slammed the kitchen door shut, locking it. He pressed his back against it, his whole body shaking. On the other side, the hunter clawed at the wood, dragging its nails with a sound that pierced the ears. The pounding at the front door began again, harder this time. The walls shook, dust falling from the ceiling. The father shouted over the noise, "Basement, now!" He pulled the mother's arm, guiding her toward the stairs. The boy grabbed the alien girl's hand, pulling her along. They stumbled down into the dark basement, closing the heavy door behind them. The basement was cold, damp, filled with boxes and old furniture. The single light bulb flickered. The family huddled together in the center. The alien girl sat on the floor, holding her device close. The glow lit her small face. "They know we are here," she said softly. "We cannot hide forever." The boy whispered, "What do we do?" "Tell us." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "You must survive until dawn. That is the only way. Their power fades with the sun, but the night is long, and they are patient." The pounding upstairs grew louder. Wood cracked, glass shattered. The hunter's whispers crawled down the walls, filling the basement like a cold fog. The mother coughed violently, clutching her chest. The alien girl pressed her glowing hand against her heart, trying to slow the sickness. "I can give her time," she whispered. "But every time I use my strength, they will sense it. They will come closer." The boy's throat tightened. "So if you save her, you call them here faster?" The girl nodded, her face pale. The father ran his hands through his hair, his eyes wild. "We can't just sit here and wait for them to break in." The girl looked at him with steady eyes. "Then you must fight," the boy shook his head. "Fight them? With what?" "They're monsters." The girl touched her device, and for a moment it projected another vision, this time of the family standing together, blocking the hunters with fire and light. The boy saw himself holding a burning torch. His father stood with a hammer. Even the mother, though weak, was in the vision, standing behind them with strength in her eyes. The vision faded. The girl whispered, "Light hurts them. Fire pushes them back. But courage is what keeps them away." The pounding grew louder. A crack split across the basement door. The boy's breath caught in his throat. He could hear the hunters now. 3 voices whispering together, a sound like knives sliding across stone. The girl clutched her device tightly. "You must be brave," she whispered. If you fall into fear, they will take all of you." The basement door shook violently, the hinges screaming. The father grabbed an old hammer from the tool shelf. The boy found a broken broom handle and lit the tip with the small flame of a match. The flame flickered, but it was fire all the same. They stood in the basement, hearts pounding, waiting, and then the door upstairs exploded open. The hunters were inside. The crash of splintering wood echoed through the house above. The hunters were inside. Their whispers slithered down the stairs, low and sharp, scraping against the walls. The basement light flickered, trembling as if it feared the darkness pressing in. The boy clutched the burning broomstick with both hands, his knuckles white. The flame wavered, small against the storm of shadows. His father gripped the hammer, sweat shining on his forehead. The mother sat weakly on a box, her chest rising and falling heavily, her skin pale. Beside her, the little alien girl crouched low, her glowing device clutched to her chest. "They will come here soon," she whispered. Her voice shook but carried a strange firmness, like someone used to living in fear. "They can smell me, and they can smell her." She nodded toward the mother. The boy's throat tightened. "Then what do we do?" "We can't just wait." The father looked around the cluttered basement. Old wood, rusted tools, boxes of forgotten things. Nothing strong enough to stop creatures that could break through doors and windows like paper. He swallowed hard, then said, "We need a plan. We need to get out." The alien girl shook her head. "You cannot run. The storm hides them. The night belongs to them. If you leave the house now, you will be taken before you cross the street." The boy's heart sank. "So we're trapped?" The girl's eyes glowed faintly. "Not trapped. Protected for now. But this will not last." Another sound boomed above them. Footsteps dragging across the floor, impossibly heavy yet slow, as if the creatures enjoyed letting their prey know they were near. Dust fell from the ceiling as the weight pressed against the wood. The mother whispered weakly, I can't breathe." She doubled over, coughing violently. The alien girl grabbed her hand and pressed her small glowing palm against the woman's chest. A faint light spread, easing the pain, but the girl trembled with the effort. The boy shouted, "Stop! You'll kill yourself!" The girl gasped but did not let go. "If I don't, she will not survive long enough for a plan." The father's voice was rough. "Then help us plan. Tell us what we can do." The girl looked up, her silver eyes wet with tears. "They fear light and fire. That is all you have. But you must be smart. If you fight them one by one, you may hold them back. If you scatter, they will take you." The boy tightened his grip on the flaming broomstick. "So we fight?" The girl shook her head. "Not fight to win. Fight to survive." The father paced, thinking fast. His eyes fell on a box of old lanterns stacked in the corner. He ran over, pulling them out with trembling hands. "If we can light the whole basement, maybe they won't come in." The boy rushed to help, filling the lanterns with what little oil remained. He struck matches one by one, and soon the basement glowed with several weak flames. Shadows retreated to the edges of the room, though the whispers above grew louder, angrier. The alien girl's eyes widened. "Good, they feel it. But they will not stop. They will wait until your flames burn low." The father cursed under his breath. "Then we need to think of something stronger." Suddenly there was a scrape at the basement door. Long claws dragged slowly across the wood. The boy froze. The sound was deliberate, mocking, as if the hunter wanted them to hear. The girl's voice trembled. "They know where you are. You must move soon. If they break through while you sit here, you will have nowhere to go." The boy whispered, "Move where? The whole house is full of them." The girl pressed her device, and once again a vision appeared in the air. This time it showed the family moving quietly through a crawl space under the basement, an old tunnel leading out to the backyard. The hunters prowled above, but the family slipped away unseen. The father's eyes widened. "That meant that passage is real. My father built it during the war. I sealed it years ago, but it's still there." The boy's heart leapt. "So we can escape?" The girl's face darkened. "Escape is dangerous. The tunnel will not hide you for long, but it may give you time, enough to reach the woods." And enough for me to finish what I must do. The mother groaned weakly. Finish what? The girl clutched her glowing device tighter. I can call others, my people. But I must have the strength. And if I call, the hunters will come faster. They will know where I am. The father's voice grew harsh. So we risk our lives while you try to send a message? The girl's glowing eyes met his. Not just a message, a shield. If my people hear me, they will send light. Light that can burn the hunters. The boy's chest tightened. He didn't know if he believed her, but they had no other choice. He nodded. Then we buy you time. The father looked at him in shock. Buy her time with what? With our lives? The boy raised his burning stick. With fire. With courage. Isn't that what she said? The father fell silent, staring at his son. Then slowly he nodded. Another crash shook the door. The hunters were almost through. The alien girl whispered, her voice trembling with urgency. Go to the tunnel. Keep her safe. She touched the mother's hand, her light flowing into her one more time. I will follow. When I can. The father lifted the mother into his arms. The boy led the way with his burning torch. The girl stayed behind for a moment, her small body glowing faintly as she pressed her device to her chest. Above them, the hunters hissed in fury. The escape had begun. The basement door split open with a deafening crack. Splinters flew as long claws pushed through, tearing the wood like paper. The hunters' whispers filled the air, sharp and cold, sliding into the family's ears like knives. The lantern flames flickered wildly, shadows dancing along the walls. The father tightened his grip on the hammer, his arms trembling but ready. The boy's burning torch hissed, drops of melted wood and smoke rising into the stale air. The mother clung weakly to the father's shoulder, her breath shallow. The alien girl crouched low, her glowing device pulsing as if alive. Go, the girl hissed. The tunnel, now! The father moved toward the corner of the basement, where old crates covered the sealed crawl space. He kicked the boxes aside, dust filling the air. Behind them was a wooden panel. He tore at it, revealing a dark, narrow hole leading into the earth. But before they could climb through, the basement door exploded open. The first hunter stepped inside. Its body was long and thin, its head bent forward like a broken doll. Its glowing eyes fixed on the mother instantly. It hissed, a sound that shook the lantern flames. Behind it, two more shadows filled the doorway, crawling down the stairs with grotesque grace. The boy raised his burning stick, shouting with all the courage he had left. Stay away. The hunter hissed louder, but when the flame came close, it stopped, recoiling slightly. Its skin smoked where the light touched it. The alien girl's voice rang out, strong despite her weakness. Fire, they fear fire. Hold them back. The father swung his hammer, smashing it against the wall, sparks flying. The boy pushed forward, jabbing the torch toward the hunters. For a moment the shadows pulled back, their whispers angry, echoing off the basement walls. But they did not retreat. They circled slowly, waiting for the flames to weaken. The mother groaned, clutching her chest. Her face was pale, her body shaking. She whispered, I can't. Her voice broke as she sagged against the wall. The alien girl rushed forward, pressing her glowing hand against the mother's chest. Light poured into her and the mother gasped, her breath growing steadier. But the glow drew the hunters closer. They shrieked, enraged, sensing the power. The boy shouted, She's making them angry. The girl's voice shook. If I stop, your mother will die now. If I continue, they will come faster. You must hold them. The father's face hardened. He lifted the hammer high. Then we hold them. The hunters lunged. The boy thrust the torch forward, the flame searing against one of the hunter's long arms. It shrieked, the sound piercing and terrible, but still it pushed closer, swiping its claws at him. The boy ducked, his heart racing, swinging the fire wildly. The father slammed his hammer into another, the impact echoing in the basement. The creature staggered back, its whispers turning into screeches. Yet even wounded, it kept coming, relentless. The lanterns flickered, the flames struggling. One tipped over, spilling oil across the floor. Fire spread in a thin trail, casting the basement in a wild, flickering glow. The hunters hissed, their shadows retreating against the walls. But the heat pressed close, smoke filling the air. The alien girl's device glowed brighter, trembling in her hands. She looked at the boy, her silver eyes desperate. I cannot hold them alone. You must choose. Stay and fight, or flee through the tunnel. The boy's chest tightened. His torch was burning low, the flame shrinking. The father's arm shook with exhaustion, sweat dripping down his face. The mother clutched the girl's hand, whispering weakly, Don't let them take me." Another hunter lunged, claws slashing. The boy thrust the last of his flame into its chest. The creature screeched and fell back, smoke pouring from the wound. But the torch burned out, leaving only glowing embers. The father stumbled back, panting. "We can't hold them much longer." The alien girl closed her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks. She pressed both hands to her device, whispering words in a strange language. The glow brightened until it filled the entire basement. The hunters shrieked, covering their faces, their bodies writhing in the light. But the girl screamed, her small body convulsing as the power drained her. The glow dimmed, then steadied into a faint pulse. She fell to the ground, gasping, her face pale as ash. The mother breathed easier, the pain in her chest gone for the first time all night. But the girl lay nearly lifeless on the floor. The boy dropped to his knees beside her. "No, don't leave us." The girl's voice was barely a whisper. "Aita gave her life back. Now you must give me time." The hunters screeched, clawing at the walls, furious but weakened by the light. For now they kept their distance, hissing in the shadows. The father pulled the mother toward the crawl space, his face grim. "We need to move. While they're weak." The boy lifted the alien girl into his arms. She felt light, too light, like holding a fragile shell. He looked at his father. "We can't leave her." The father nodded. "Then we carry her." Behind them the hunters regrouped, their whispers rising again. The flames on the floor burned low. The lanterns sputtered. The night was not over, but for the moment, just a moment, the family had a chance. The tunnel was narrow, damp, and filled with the smell of earth. The father crawled ahead, holding the lantern high, its weak flame shaking against the dirt walls. The mother followed behind him, her breathing steady now, but her body still frail. The boy came next, carrying the alien girl in his arms. Her silver skin glowed faintly, but her eyes were closed, her small chest rising and falling shallowly. Behind them, the whispers grew louder. The hunters had found the basement crawl space. Their long claws scraped against the wood as they pulled it apart. The sound echoed through the tunnel like thunder rolling underground. The boy's heart hammered in his chest. "They're coming," he whispered, his voice tight with fear. The father glanced back, his face pale but determined. "Keep moving. The tunnel leads to the woods. If we make it there, we might stand a chance." The tunnel shook as one of the hunters slammed into the entrance. Dirt rained down on them, small stones tumbling. The mother cried out softly, clutching her chest. The alien girl stirred faintly in the boy's arms, her lips moving in broken whispers. "What is she saying?" the boy asked. The girl's voice was weak, like the rustle of leaves. "Stop running. You cannot escape them forever. To live, you must choose." The father's voice grew harsh. "No, we're not giving up. We'll get out, and we'll survive." But as they crawled forward, the tunnel opened into a wider chamber. Roots hung from the ceiling, dripping water. At the far side, a wooden hatch led outside. The father pushed it and cold air rushed in. The storm still raged, lightning flashing across the sky. The boy's hope rose, until he looked back. The hunters were already in the tunnel. Their glowing eyes cut through the dark like knives. Their whispers grew louder, twisting into words that no human could understand, words that made the boy's stomach churn with dread. The alien girl opened her eyes then. She looked straight at the mother, her silver gaze filled with sorrow. "It must be now," she whispered. The boy held her tighter. "What do you mean?" She reached up with a trembling hand, placing it on his cheek. "One of us must stay. One of us must be taken, or all will be lost. If they take me, your mother will live. If they take her, I cannot stop them." The boy's throat tightened. "No, there has to be another way." The father pulled the hatch open wider, the rain pouring in. "We all leave together. That's the only way." But the alien girl shook her head. "You don't understand. They will never stop chasing. Not until they have what they came for. They are bound to the mark on your mother. The only way to break it is if I give myself in her place. My life for hers." The mother's face filled with tears. "No, you're just a child. I won't let you." The girl's voice was soft, almost tender. "I am not just a child. I was made to carry this burden, to bring light into dark places. If I die here, my people will know. They will send light to protect others. But if your kindness dies tonight, then the hunters win." The boy shook his head, refusing. "There has to be another way." But the hunters were crawling closer, their claws dragging against the earth, their glowing eyes filling the chamber with cold fire. The family pressed back against the hatch, but there was nowhere left to go. The alien girl pushed herself weakly from the boy's arms. She stood, her small body shaking but her eyes fierce with determination. The device in her hands glowed brighter than ever before. She looked at the mother one last time. "You showed kindness once. That is why I came. Now it is my turn." The mother sobbed, reaching for her, but the girl stepped forward. The hunters hissed, their whispers rising into a scream as they saw her light. The boy cried out, "No! Don't do it!" The girl turned to him, smiling faintly. "Do not fear. This is not the end. It is only the beginning." Then she lifted the device high, the chamber filled with blinding light. The hunters shrieked, their bodies writhing, shadows burning away into smoke. The earth shook, and the sound of their screams echoed into the storm above. The boy shielded his eyes, tears streaming down his face. The light grew brighter, brighter still, until there was nothing but silence. When the light faded, the hunters were gone. The tunnel was empty. Only the storm outside remained. The alien girl's device lay on the ground, glowing faintly, but the girl herself was gone. The mother collapsed to her knees, clutching her chest. Her breathing was steady now, strong as if the sickness had never existed. The father held her tightly, tears mixing with the rain. The boy picked up the device. It pulsed once in his hand, then projected a final image in the air. It was the alien girl, her silver eyes bright, her voice soft but strong. "Live, protect each other, and when you see the light in the sky, know that I kept my promise." The image faded, leaving only the storm. The boy held the device close, his heart heavy but full of something new, hope. The family stepped out into the rain together. The night had taken much from them, but it had also given something back. The mother's life was saved. The hunters were gone, and somewhere out there in the endless dark, others like the girl were watching. The boy looked up at the stormy sky, and for the first time that night, he believed they were not alone.